Once you've written an algorithm, you need to then implement it in a program. In C, a modular program generally consists of a main function that calls other user-defined functions, which are functions that you, the user, creates as opposed to built-in functions. So the modular program consists of a main function, calls other functions that do the actual work. This is going to be our ultimate goal, but there's a lot to learn before we can get to that point. For now, we're just going to be working with the main function. We've seen assignment statements and we've seen output statements, so for now we can write a program that contains assignment statements and prints values of variables and/or expressions using the output statement. You can compile and execute the code and make sure that you don't get any error messages. Here's a very simple main function in which there is one character variable that is declared and initialized. So within the main function, we have the curly braces that denote the body of the main function. And we have, first of all, our variable declaration, where we're declaring a variable called favlet to be the type char, and initializing it in the declaration to have the value of the character x. So in C, single characters go inside of single quotes. Strings have double quotes. So all we're doing in this main function is just declaring and initializing the variable and then the return 0 at the end. So let's go through some of these features of the main function. The first line in the main function is called the header of the function. So where it says int and then main and empty parentheses. So what this says is that the name of the function is main. It returns an integer, which it does at the end. We have a return statement that returns a 0, which is an integer. And the empty curly braces here say that we don't have to pass anything to the function. So that's the header of the main function. And then all of the code in the body of the main function is enclosed in curly braces. And at the very end, the last statement is return 0. This is actually not necessary with all C compilers, but it doesn't hurt, and many C compilers do require this return 0. Basically what this says is that the program executed and finished and did everything it was supposed to do. So here's a pretty complete code example that has a constant definition and it has some output. So the following example here uses a function pow from the math header file, and it also defines a constant, and we have output, so we have to include the standard IO header file. So we start by including the math header file so that we can use the pow function. We include the standard IO header file so that we can use the printf function to print. Then we define a constant. So all three of these things happen before the main function. And then we have the header of the main function, and in the curly braces here we have the body of the main function. And first what we do is to declare our variables. So in terms of style, all of the variable declarations should happen at the very beginning of the main function, and then you have the statements. So I'm declaring two variables, both of which are going to be the type float. So radius, which is initialized to have the value 3, and area. So they're both the type float. Then I'm going to assign to area the value of my constant pi multiplied by the radius squared using the pow function. And then once I have the area, I'm going to print it in a nice sentence format that says the area is, and then with 2 decimal places, the value of the variable area fills in for this placeholder. And then again, the return 0 basically says that the program executed successfully.